they just dropped the information like as
5 minutes ago, man.
As we were
been 5 minutes.
Yeah, as we're prepping for this shit, it was like, okay, beta is being announced, right? So we have to tackle this, but not before we talk about the issues with the alpha. I think the biggest problem this alpha cycle had, I know it was in Dragonflight as well to some extent.
It was in beta and Dragonflight as well, by the way.
It was in beta as well. All right, so that kind of complicates things a little bit.
Hopefully not this time, right?
But the problem is, so when you think about releasing an alpha, you want a lot of people in to test everything around. The problem this time was that I don't think they had sent invites or flagged accounts sufficient enough, because whenever we logged on and tried to do stuff, there was a big issue with the players not being there. So
they usually come in waves.
Yeah, it was. They do come in waves, but the main issue is that the people who are playing alpha, they're not doing like all of the content. Most of them are just leveling for some reason, which for me, personal opinion here, if you level, you're spoiling yourself. Just test out the systems, test out the mechanics. That's what alphas should be.
And that's exactly what alpha is, because we've had this conversation before, is to test out if things work, and then in beta usually go over the actual gameplay and see if like the leveling progression, the professions and all of that actually work fine. But to each his own, and that's perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, all of the new stuff that you're going to be doing in WoW, you're still going to revolve around dungeons and raids. So you kind of need to understand how classes work. Plus, that's why you would be interested in doing alpha. Otherwise, like, what are you doing there?
Yeah, plus we have a lot of friends who would love to play with us on the alpha, but they couldn't because they didn't get their account flagged. And it's a bitch, because when we trying to play and trying to test stuff out, there's no one to play with. Like, I always queued as a healer, Flame always queued as the DPS we're working on and researching, and Mokti, who's like in the other room, queues up for a tank. So we have all the corners covered.
The trifecta is complete.
Yes, and still we're in the queue for like 1 hour and a half or something, and sometimes we just
we have to log off. It's nothing's happening.
Yeah, so it was something that we really wanted to talk about. I don't know why. Hot take. I think they didn't invite as many players during this alpha cycle because they wanted people to play Mob Remix.
That is something that I was very concerned about whenever they've announced, before the alpha was announced, by the way, when they announced the Cataclysm launch and the remix. I was like, this sounds like it's end of season 4, that is gonna overlap with the potential testing cycle of alpha, and that will suck because nobody's gonna be on the alpha when there's so much live content to play with. And lo and behold, here we are. Hopefully for the last time, but they couldn't probably have done it any other way, since they are actually releasing the testing cycle seems to be shorter and shorter with each expansion, which I guess is great because we just get stuff quicker.
But it does. Some people correctly so feel a little bit concerned, because if these cycles are shorter, that means less time to test and less time to fix things once the game launches. But on the other hand, we got confirmation from Holly and Maria Hamilton back in London that the WoW team right now is bigger than it ever was in the history of World of Warcraft. That's confirmed. And they both Holly and Maria were like super pumped about this. And it's like, listen, we have basically a team handling like every aspect of it. So don't you worry, even like if the cycles are shorter and stuff, the feedback is good. And you can see that with all of the development notes you see and all of the class changes, but some class changes, we'll get to that. But it's confirmed. June the 5th, it's going to be like the public beta. So this is going to be a lot of people coming in. I'm hoping they have servers prepared for this, because if they're gonna have like two servers or 3 servers, that's gonna break for sure. I think WoW Remix is getting to a point where people are pushing either the heroic difficulty on the raids or whatever, or still leveling alts. But I think that is slowly fading down, and the beta comes in at the right moment to catch everybody in, right? So looking at this is like, okay, we have, let's read it out here, shall we? Sure. So World of Warcraft War Within beta tests begin June the 5th. Over the course of the test, we'll be inviting community veterans. Are you community veterans? Yeah, you watching. Are you? Press, fan sites, friends, and family to check out the upcoming expansion and give us feedback. Players who purchase or who upgrade to the Epic Edition of The World Within will also gain immediate access to the beta and gain a minimum 3-day early access to the expansion. I forgot about this.
This is so. It's basically for anybody who is concerned about this. This is closed beta. This is not open for everybody. You're gonna be getting invites. If you haven't signed up for the beta, you can do so on their official website. That's how you would have gotten into alpha as well. And if you've pre-purchased the Epic Edition, you'll automatically get in. I don't know if they're going to eventually open the beta for everybody. I don't think they're gonna do that anymore, considering that they've put a price tag on it and the access as well. So it's unlikely. So if you were expecting to just get free invites and you haven't, maybe I don't know.
No. But it's interesting you say that, because they go on to say that players selected to participate will receive an email invitation directing them to download the game client directly from the Battle.net desktop app. Now let me tell you, that email comes very, very late. Like once June the 5th hits. This is a tip. This is an advice. So once that date drops, check your Battle.net launcher, okay? Because I don't think there was a time when we weren't even doing YouTube or we even being that much recognized. When we got access to alphas and betas, and that email popped up like weeks after, and we already in the shit,
they
right?
flag the account, your client updates before you actually get the actual email. I don't know, but that was then. It doesn't really matter. You always refresh your client. That's known for all Blizzard games.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Let's read here. So getting started, join us in testing the World Within. Players who have opted in can be selected to be testers, and invitationals go out regularly throughout the test. If selected to participate in the beta test, your Battle.net account will already be flagged for access. So basically what I just said.
Yeah.
Players who upgrade to, okay, we already covered that. Make sure your graphics are, this is boring stuff. What's available in the beta, you might ask? New systems, the complete leveling experience, zones, dungeons, delves, warbands, and the new playable Earthen are all available in the beta. Raid testing will come at a later date. This is a very important topic because when Dragonflight beta launched, I don't know if you remember this, the raid testing was, I think, either that same week or the week after. So that comes really fast in. Now, this is another thing. Once you get into the beta, and I'm sure a lot of you will, make sure you level up some of the characters and start doing stuff around. Do they do templates?
I think in Dragonflight, they did have two servers, one for max level templates and one for the leveling experience, because I remember we were testing a lot of the stuff. Plus, they're going to eventually add Mythic Plus to the roster as well. We're always going to test Mythic Plus before the season gets launched. Considering that's been speculated that we have some placeholder affixes for the new season of Mythic Plus. So that's what I would expect. I don't think they're going to release raid testing for people that might not have leveled yet. They're not going to make that mistake and miss out on actually having enough player base to test it out.
Yeah. Well, the main idea is raid testing, if we're going to take the same timetable as they had for Dragonflight, raid testing comes really, really fast after the beta drops. So make sure if you get into the beta, you are aware of that. All right. Now, of course, you're going to see all of the zones. This is very interesting because in the alpha, we had phases. Okay, this week you get the first zone, the second week you get the second zone, the first couple of dungeons. Now, when you get the beta, mostly everything is there, right? This is how the big floodgates are opened and all of the content is there for you to test. Now, I cannot stress this enough. The beta is I feel like people still treat the beta as a sort of early access gameplay for it. Nah, they're really hyped up about getting feedback and implementing it as soon as possible. So if you're gonna join the beta, please do your part and feedback the shit out of it. It's important, man. It's really important because they listen, okay? Partly they listen, not always, but they have a good record now on listening, right?
Yeah, with all the changes and everything that they've done for the hero talents and the speed at which they're handling some classes, it's very obvious, like you said, Maria Hamilton as well, and
yeah, Holly Longdale is the name you're looking for. Flame, don't worry, I got your brains back, okay? Whenever you fart with your brain, I'm here. They confirmed that everybody is on deck. So the cool thing about that was they have a team that is dedicated for all of the WoW experiment stuff. So that is usually about the WoW remix and all that. Then you have a team who is actually on top of what's happening in season 4, all right? And there's also a team that is expanded into different smaller teams that handles all of the other expansions. If I'm not mistaken, I hope I'm not, saying something I shouldn't here, but they are already at the graphical assets for The Last Titan. Was that what she said? So they're already having like concept art and graphical assets and zones implemented in the game for the Last Titan, which is the third expansion. War Within isn't even out yet. So yeah, they have a lot of people working on the team. But just back to the issue at hand here, I think like is June 5th next week, man? Am I crazy?
Should be, yeah.
It is.
And the beta is announced. We need a lot more people to test things out. It's gonna be awesome. They're definitely listening to feedback, and the amount of feedback that they're actually implementing is staggering. And there are a lot of classes that have good examples for this.